Joining me now with reaction is House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, author of the great new book, Back in the Game, along with Tom Homan, former acting director of ICE and a Fox News contributor. Congressman, let's start with you. The House GOP only has 12 days left. Was I too harsh in my angle there on where I'm laying?
Laura, I think you laid out the landscape really well, and clearly this goes back to Barack Obama's presidency when he created the DACA problem without ever trying to solve it. He said literally, come to America illegally, bring your kids here illegally. He never tried to fix it. They never, in fact, when Pelosi had the House, they had a supermajority in the Senate. They never tried to bring a bill to fix the problem. They wanted a political issue. And so they never tried to fix it. As you pointed out again, President Trump comes into office. Chuck Schumer initially was willing to work with him on a solution to DACA that included funding for the wall. Then the radical left went nuts, and Schumer pulled that deal off the table. We've tried to pass bills through the House to solve the interior loophole problems that you've cited so many times, as well as funding the wall. Not one Democrat. We've had two different approaches on this. So no matter where you are on this, there was a chance for you to vote to solve the problem. Not one Democrat voted for any of those
Could have
bills.
shut down the government, right?
Well, we still have, by the way, in the next 2 weeks, the Department of Homeland Security's budget expires at the end of November. And this is going to be one more battle that we're going to have, and it's going to happen in the next few weeks right here.
But hearing Tom, Joni Ernst was on one of the other shows last night, or yesterday. I watched it last night. Republican senator from Iowa was basically saying, well, we can't shut down this government for the wall. We can't do. These are the Republicans that we're dealing with here. I mean, Steve Scalise has done a yeoman's work with everything he's been through to try to stand for the American people. There are not many who will. You've seen this. You and I sat here at this table, Tom, and you said to me, watch what happens. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And right now we have 5,000 people a week crossing our border illegally, separate from the caravan.
Look, I've been at this game for 34 years, and unfortunately, everything I said is coming true. And I tell you, we had some great Republican congressmen take the bull by the horns. You had McCall Goodlatte bill was a great bill.
Which was great.
And a lot of the Republicans, some of the Republicans didn't support it. Of course, no Democrats did, but that fixed the problem. It fixed the loopholes. It fixed all the loopholes and gave some relief. Perfect bill. And I said it many times in your show, Laura, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat. There's no downside on securing the border. None.
But Paul Ryan is on his way out. I like him personally, but he has never wanted to fund this wall. I'm going to say it. Paul Ryan has never wanted to fund this wall. He didn't want to deal with this problem for a whole bunch of reasons. He was never comfortable with the president's immigration agenda. I think that, looking back, that ended up really hurting the Republicans. If you don't have someone at the helm who's championing what the president is doing, and I don't think McConnell really wanted to do it either. I mean, he talks a good game, but I don't think either of them really wanted to do it.
Yeah, we were able to get $1.5 billion of new funding for border wall in this year's budget. Obviously, we want more. The president's asked for $5 billion. I'd like to see us get there. We've had a number of bills to try to solve that problem. Let me make this point about the end of the year funding for the Department of Homeland Security. When people talk about a government shutdown, they try to use it in a pejorative term to try to scare people. Over 70% of the United States government is fully funded until the end of next year's fiscal year, including the Department of Defense, which is critically important. In the past, you saw Obama use our troops as hostages to try to say, hey, the troops won't get paid unless you give me X, Y, or Z. We have now fully funded the entire Department of Defense, including giving a pay raise to our troops. That goes through September 30th of next year. So now all we're talking about is an important part of government, but it's less than 30%, including the Department of Homeland Security. That's where the wall funding comes in. So there will be no widespread government shutdown. It's all about funding the Department of Homeland Security and building the wall.
But I have to add this. In addition to the wall funding, ICE needs funding for beds. Because if ICE can't detain people arrested at the border and there's catch and release again, more caravans are going to come. There's no consequence to deterrence. Why would they stop? We need to detain these people.
Rodney Scott, I know you know him. I've interviewed him so many times, including down at the border in San Diego. He said, what we're seeing, contrary to what all of these bleeding heart media types, most of whom would not sponsor illegal immigrants if they had to personally guarantee their economic independence, they would never do it. But they talk a good emotional game when you see the pictures, the sad pictures of the people fleeing But Rodney Scott knows this sector better than anyone, said this. Let's watch.
What I saw on the border yesterday was not people walking up to Border Patrol agents and asking to claim asylum. They were chanting, waving a Honduran flag and throwing rocks at the agents. If they were truly asylum seekers, they would have just walked up with their hands up and surrendered, and that did not take place.
And I know Rodney Scott is a great American patriot. And I'll add this. Look, the border patrol that sent the tear gas out sent it on rock throwers. They didn't send it on women and children. Of course, you know, the wind drifts and that happens. However, you know, I want to throw a shout out to NBC. They did a great story tonight. You know what they did? They interviewed that woman with the 2 children, that picture, and she come out and said that she was coming to the country illegally to join her husband who's illegally in the country, Louisiana. Nothing about fear and persecution. So I hope that's Exhibit A on her future political asylum cases. Exactly what I've said. People are coming here to get a job, or people are coming here to rejoin.
So it's a big lie. Well, what I'm trying to illustrate for people is that we actually need real reporters who put aside whether they don't like Trump, and they say, this is how we got here. This real persecution's happening all over the world. Congressman, you know what's happening to people like Asia Bibi, this woman in Pakistan, there's a Catholic
who... make this point, too, Laura. President Trump was very clear in saying there is a legal way to come to America to seek asylum, and there's an illegal way. We're not going to let you just storm a border and climb a fence. Go to a port of entry and state your case. Make your claim. That's the way to do it.
Mexico's going to help us, I think.
The Tijuana mayor, even the Tijuana mayor has said they're getting overridden with some of these people that are coming to attack law enforcement officers, not to seek asylum. And by the way, most of them pass through at least one other country already.
How many laws did they violate, Tom? How many laws did they violate before they get to San Ysidro, on average?
Several. When they enter country illegally, first crime is a misdemeanor. However, a lot of these people, based on our intelligence, have been deported before. So when they enter the country illegally, that's a felony.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to say, though, for the naysayers and tear guys, need to get this out. For those naysayers, put on a uniform, strap a gun to your hip, get rocks thrown at you, and tell me there wasn't a better response. There's non-lethal law enforcement response that was proper, considering they're being assaulted.
And where were they when the Obama administration was using tear gas?
Oh, yeah, back in 2013. You have to disperse a crowd. How do you disperse a crowd? But Rihanna calls it terrorism, guys. Rihanna's upset. She doesn't have security at her concerts, all right? Let's let everybody through her concerts. Anyone wants to go on stage with Rihanna, not only can they go on stage, but they can get a hot meal at her house afterward. I don't think so. Guys, thanks so much.